My name is Anna, and I'm 27 years old. I've always tried to keep peace in my family, even when it wasn't easy. My older sister, Lisa, is 30, and we've never been close. She's always been Mom's favorite, and no matter what she does, Mom takes her side. I've learned to live with it, but this Christmas party changed everything. It was a big evening. Mom had invited all her friends, neighbors, and some of Dad's old business partners. I was excited and wanted to look my best, so I wore a beautiful navy blue suit I'd saved up for. As I came down the stairs, Lisa looked at me and smirked. "Nice suit," she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. I ignored her, not wanting to start anything. The evening was going fine until Lisa accidentally bumped into me while holding a candle. The flame caught the edge of my suit, and before I knew it, the fabric was burned. "Oh no!" Lisa exclaimed loudly, but there was no sincerity in her voice. Instead, she laughed and said, "Well, maybe you shouldn't wear such cheap clothes." Everyone at the party laughed with her. My face burned with embarrassment, and I felt like crying. I ran to Mom, hoping she would help me. Instead, she looked annoyed. "Stop causing a scene, Anna," she said sharply. "Go to the storage shed and stay there until you calm down." I couldn't believe it. My sister had humiliated me, and now I was being punished for it. Feeling hurt and angry, I grabbed my coat and walked outside to the storage shed. The cold air stung my face, and tears rolled down my cheeks. It felt like no one in my family cared about me. When I opened the door to the shed, it was dark and dusty. Boxes were piled everywhere, filled with old papers and forgotten items. I sat on a small wooden chair, trying to calm myself down. That's when I noticed a sealed envelope sticking out of a box labeled Dad's Documents. Curiosity got the better of me, and I pulled it out. The envelope had my name on it in Dad's handwriting. My heart raced as I opened it, wondering what he had left for me. Inside was a letter, and as I read it, my hands started to shake. The letter was dated 3 years ago, just a few months before Dad passed away. His familiar handwriting brought back memories of his warm smile and how he always treated me fairly, even when Mom and Lisa didn't. It read, "My dearest Anna, I know I haven't always shown you how much I love you, and for that, I'm deeply sorry. I see how hard you've worked to be kind and helpful to everyone, even when you weren't appreciated. I've realized that I should have stood up for you more often. That's why I've decided to transfer all my property and business to your name. You deserve a fresh start, free from the struggles you've faced here. Please keep this letter safe. I hope it brings you happiness and peace." Tears streamed down my face as I read his words. I couldn't believe it. Dad had left everything to me. It felt like, for the first time, someone truly valued me for who I was. I clutched the letter tightly, feeling a mix of joy and sadness. But then reality set in. Mom and Lisa didn't know about this letter, and I was certain they wouldn't be happy if they found out. I carefully folded the letter and placed it in my pocket, determined to keep it safe. The sound of the storage shed door creaking open startled me. Lisa stood there, her arms crossed and her face twisted in annoyance. "What are you doing in here?" she demanded. "None of your business," I snapped, shoving the letter deeper into my pocket. She narrowed her eyes, clearly suspicious. "You're acting weird. Whatever it is, I'll find out." She turned and left, slamming the door behind her. My heart pounded. I had to protect this letter at all costs. I decided to stay in the shed until the party ended. I couldn't face the guests or Lisa's mocking anymore. As I sat there, I thought about what to do next. This letter had the power to change everything, but I knew I had to be smart about it. When the party finally ended, I sneaked back into the house and locked my bedroom door. I carefully hid the letter in a drawer under my clothes. For now, it was safe. But I had no idea that this was only the beginning of a much bigger fight. The next morning, I woke up early, still thinking about the letter. My heart was heavy with the realization that this could change my life forever, but I had to be cautious. Lisa and Mom were unpredictable, and I didn't trust them to handle this news fairly. As I walked into the kitchen, Lisa was already there, sipping coffee and scrolling through her phone. She glanced at me and smirked. "You're up early." Plotting your next pity party. I ignored her and poured myself a cup of coffee. Lisa loved to provoke me, but I wasn't going to let her ruin my day, not after what I had discovered. Mom wants to see you, she said casually. She's in the living room. I tensed. Mom rarely called me unless it was to criticize or scold me. Taking a deep breath, I walked into the living room, where she was sitting with a cup of tea. Her expression was unreadable. "Sit down, Anna," she said firmly. I obeyed, feeling a sense of unease. "I noticed you spending a lot of time in the storage shed last night," she began. "What were you doing in there?" I froze. My mind raced for an answer, but I couldn't come up with anything convincing. "I was just looking through some old things," I said carefully. Her eyes narrowed. "Don't lie to me. Lisa said you were acting strange. Did you find something?" My stomach dropped. I tried to keep my face calm, but Mom knew me too well. She leaned forward, her voice sharp. "If you found something important, you'd better tell me now." "I didn't find anything," I insisted, standing up quickly. "Can I go now?" She gave me a long, hard look before finally nodding.
"Go."
"But don't think I won't find out what you're hiding." I rushed back to my room, my heart pounding. It was clear they were suspicious, and I had to act fast. I decided to take the letter and move it to a safer place, my locker at work. It was the only place I could think of where Lisa and Mom couldn't get to it. Later that day, I carefully folded the letter and slipped it into my bag. "I'll be back later," I called out, not waiting for a response as I headed out the door. My job at the library wasn't exciting, but it gave me a quiet place to think, and now, a safe place to hide the letter. As I walked to the bus stop, I kept looking over my shoulder, paranoid that Lisa might be following me. She wasn't, but the feeling of unease stayed with me. By the time I reached the library, I was desperate to lock the letter away. I opened my locker, slid the letter inside, and locked it securely. For the first time since finding it, I felt a small sense of relief. At least now it was safe. That evening, when I returned home, the atmosphere in the house was tense. Lisa and Mom were whispering in the kitchen, and they stopped abruptly when I walked in. I could tell something was up, but I pretended not to notice. "Where were you all day?" Lisa asked, her tone accusatory. "At work," I replied, brushing past her. "Not that it's any of your business." Mom's voice was sharp. "Don't speak to your sister like that." I didn't respond. I was tired of their constant ganging up on me. I went to my room, locked the door, and sat on my bed, trying to plan my next move. But before I could figure anything out, I heard footsteps outside my door. "Anna," Lisa called sweetly. "We need to talk." I didn't respond. A second later, the doorknob rattled. "Open the door," she demanded, her sweet tone gone. "We know you're hiding something." The rattling grew louder as Lisa banged on the door. "Anna, open up, or I'll tell Mom you're hiding something from her." I stood frozen, clutching my bag as if she could somehow sense the letter wasn't inside. My pulse raced, and my mind scrambled for a plan. "Go away, Lisa," I called out, trying to sound calm. "I'm busy." "Busy doing what?" she shot back, her voice dripping with suspicion. "You think you can keep secrets from us? Mom and I always find out." "Leave me alone," I yelled, surprising even myself. For once, I wasn't going to back down. There was silence for a moment, but I knew Lisa wasn't giving up.
"Fine," she hissed.
"But don't think this is over." Her footsteps retreated, but my sense of relief was short-lived. I knew Lisa and Mom wouldn't stop until they uncovered what I was hiding. If they ever found out about the letter, they'd do whatever it took to keep the inheritance from me. The next morning, I woke up early to avoid Lisa and Mom. I grabbed my bag and left the house, determined to take control of the situation. On my way to the library, I decided to stop by the bank to speak with my dad's lawyer. I needed to confirm that the letter was legitimate and, more importantly, that the will was secure. Mr. Harper, my dad's lawyer, was an older man with kind eyes. He greeted me warmly when I arrived at his office. "Anna, it's good to see you," he said, motioning for me to sit. "What brings you here today?" I hesitated for a moment before pulling out the letter. "I found this in some old documents of my dad's," I explained. I need to know if it's real. He took the letter, his expression growing serious as he read it. After a long pause, he looked up at me. This is authentic, he said, his voice firm. Your father left instructions for this transfer in his will. Everything, his properties, the business, even the family home, is legally yours. Hearing it confirmed made my heart race. But what if my mom and sister try to contest it? I asked nervously. Mr. Harper smiled slightly. Your father anticipated that possibility. The original will is locked securely with me, and no one can alter it. As long as you have my support, they won't be able to take what's rightfully yours. Relief washed over me. For the first time, I felt like I had a real chance to break free from their control. When I returned home that evening, Lisa and Mom were waiting for me in the living room. Their faces were grim, and I could tell they'd been talking about me. Where have you been all day? Mom demanded. Work, I said curtly, brushing past them. Stop lying, Anna. Lisa snapped, standing up from the couch. We know you found something important last night. I don't know what you're talking about, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. Mom stepped closer, her tone cold. Anna, we want to see whatever it is you've been hiding. If you don't show us, don't think you'll be welcome in this house anymore. Her words stung, but I stood my ground. I'm not hiding anything, I said firmly. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have things to do. Lisa let out a frustrated growl. You think you're so clever, don't you? Just wait. You're going to regret this. I turned and walked away, my heart pounding. I knew this wasn't the end of their scheming. If anything, it was only the beginning. That night, I carefully locked my bedroom door and sat on my bed, staring at the ceiling. The letter was safe in Mr. Harper's hands, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something bad was about to happen. Lisa and Mom weren't going to let this go. I didn't know how, but I was determined to protect what my dad had left me, even if it meant walking away from the only family I'd ever known. The next morning, I woke to a loud commotion in the house. My heart sank as I rushed out of my room to see what was happening. In the living room, Lisa and Mom were rifling through papers on the coffee table, clearly in the middle of one of their schemes. What are you doing? I demanded, my voice trembling with both fear and anger. Mom turned to me with a cold glare. We're looking for whatever it is you've been hiding. Lisa said you found something in the shed. Don't even think about lying to us. I stood frozen for a moment, but then I took a deep breath. There's nothing to find. You're wasting your time. Lisa smirked, stepping closer to me. We'll see about that. Don't forget, Anna, we always get what we want. Her words sent a chill down my spine, but I didn't let it show. I turned and walked back to my room, locking the door behind me. My hands shook as I sat on the edge of my bed, trying to calm down. They were getting more desperate, and I needed to act fast. The next morning, I woke to a loud commotion in the house. My heart sank as I rushed out of my room to see what was happening. In the living room, Lisa and Mom were rifling through papers on the coffee table, clearly in the middle of one of their schemes. What are you doing? I demanded, my voice trembling with both fear and anger. Mom turned to me with a cold glare. We're looking for whatever it is you've been hiding. Lisa said you found something in the shed. Don't even think about lying to us. I stood frozen for a moment, but then I took a deep breath. There's nothing to find. You're wasting your time. Lisa smirked, stepping closer to me. We'll see about that. Don't forget, Anna, we always get what we want. Her words sent a chill down my spine, but I didn't let it show. I turned and walked back to my room, locking the door behind me. My hands shook as I sat on the edge of my bed, trying to calm down. They were getting more desperate, and I needed to act fast. Underscore 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 underscore. That afternoon, I received a call from Mr. Harper. Anna, I think you should come to the office, he said. There's something we need to discuss. His tone was serious, and my stomach churned with worry. I quickly made my way to his office, unsure of what to expect. When I arrived, he greeted me with a grave expression. "Your mother and sister came by this morning," he said. "They demanded to see the will and insisted that it must be a mistake." I wasn't surprised, but the confirmation still made my blood boil. "What did you tell them?" I asked. "I told them the truth," he said firmly. "The will is legally binding, and there's nothing they can do to change it. But Anna, I think you need to be careful. They seemed very angry, and I'm concerned about your safety." His words struck a chord. I had been trying to ignore the danger, but it was clear now that I couldn't stay in that house any longer. "Thank you for letting me know," I said. "I'll figure something out." When I returned home, the atmosphere was suffocating. Lisa glared at me as I walked past her, and Mom barely acknowledged my presence. I could feel the tension building, like a storm about to break. That evening, I heard a knock at my bedroom door. "Anna," Mom called sweetly, a tone that instantly put me on edge. "Can we talk?" I hesitated before opening the door, and the moment I did, Lisa barged in behind her. "We know you went to Dad's lawyer," she snapped. "So stop pretending you don't have anything." My heart raced, but I forced myself to stay calm. "Even if I did, it's none of your business." Lisa's face twisted with rage. "None of our business? This is our family's property, Anna. You don't deserve any of it." Mom crossed her arms, her expression cold. "Hand over the papers, Anna."
Now?
I shook my head, backing away from them. "I don't have them. And even if I did, you can't take them from me." Lisa lunged forward, grabbing my arm. "You think you're so smart, don't you? But you're nothing without us." I pulled free from her grip, my voice shaking. "Leave me alone. I've had enough of this." The breaking point came that night. As I sat in my room, packing a bag with essentials, I realized I couldn't stay any longer. My family would never change, and I couldn't keep living under their control. I had to leave. Early the next morning, before anyone else was awake, I quietly slipped out of the house. My heart was heavy, but I felt a sense of freedom I hadn't experienced in years. I headed to the bank to finalize the transfer of Dad's properties and business into my name. It was time to take control of my life. Months later, I was living in a small but cozy apartment, far away from the toxicity of my family. With the inheritance, I was able to start a business of my own, something I had always dreamed of. For the first time, I was truly happy. Lisa and Mom tried to contact me a few times, but I never responded. I had no interest in reopening old wounds. My father's final gift had given me the chance to start over, and I wasn't going to waste it. As I looked out the window of my new home, I smiled. My life wasn't perfect, but it was mine, and that was all I needed.